let's talk about physics. Yay! So I promised I would say a little bit more about what the cool stuff is that keeps happening in this stuff. So our instruction this week was held by an incredibly brilliant woman, Haunani Drake. She has a bachelor's degree in sociology and essentially a master's degree in Oriental medicine. And let me just clarify really quickly for anybody that doesn't know anything about Oriental medicine, because that was me 3 weeks ago. All that means is, in same of Ayurveda, all Oriental medicine and Ayurveda does that Western medicine doesn't do is look at the body. So not only from the perspective that we're accustomed to, anatomical, biomechanical, and all that, but from a holistic standpoint. So it just adds nutrition and spirituality and mindfulness or meditation to what we already do. So, and that's Oriental medicine in the West. So Haunani taught us something about yoga over the weekend that I thought I could just holy shit, right? And it was about physics. So so we understand the mechanical process that goes on in yoga when you do your asana. So everybody gets that. There's no question that, sitting in plank and doing a bunch of push-ups or engaging your muscles is good for you. But where it differs really comes down to how the fluids behave. And I'm married to somebody with an aerospace engineering degree, naval architecture, fluid mechanics. And so he knows a lot of stuff about this. So she piqued my interest immediately when she started saying this. And so what she did was she basically showed us the human torso. So in the body, right, you have three centers. You have your thoracic cavity and then the two other cavities. And the bottom of your body, so the area closest to the ground with the highest level amount of gravity pulling onto it, is the area of high pressure. So I'm going to talk about how the fluids all that stuff that just hangs around in there. I've always been curious about that because I have, my back problems, and, I never understood what is inflammation. What is inflammation? Where does it come from? How does it exist? Is it really just the blood that's going to your muscles, or, and how is it related to the spinal fluid, right? They kept using this term fluid in your spine. What the fuck are all these fluids? But, so I was able to connect to interstitial fluid, which is just basically the fluid that sits around your organs and around your muscles and around your joints. And so think about that. So think about all these fluids that are sitting sort of around in your body, and how they behave in these three different centers. So the one of highest pressure is lowest to the ground with the most pull on it. And naturally, doesn't nature work fucking fascinatingly that's where you pee, right? That's where you pee, is where you excrete. That's, you get high pressure and things come out there. So it's really cool. And then the area of lowest pressure, of course, this makes perfect sense, is where your lungs are. So the fluid air comes in, and you can create a lot of expansion in that area. So just that dynamic alone, I think, is really cool. So here's where asana is fascinating. When you go into an asana, now I have read a tiny bit about it, and they basically said, you doing it mindfully, they say, mindfully in the practice, doing it slowly is key, because fluid pressure needs to be equalized, right? So it's always seeking equilibrium, and this is something Hanani was teaching us. It's always seeking a stasis. And so when you move the human body into different positions, specifically the torso, when you move your torso, laterally or side, twist, bend, whatever, you're shifting where all of those fluids are moving. And we use these loose terms when we're practicing asana. Teachers might use loose terms. Oh, it's relieving pressure on your joints. Oh, it's massaging your organs. Oh, it's doing this. So those are just loose ways of saying, in the physics of what's happening is the interstitial fluids inside of your body, plus maybe your blood, and anything in your digestive tract out. That stuff is shifting, physically shifting relative to gravity, and the pressure system is changing as you're doing these different manipulations. And I believe, all exercise is good. All exercise, I will always say, is, of course, good for all of us. But what I think is so fascinating about this as it applies to the asana, to yoga, is we do it so deliberately. and we hold it for a considerable amount of time. And so the benefit of switching this high pressure system on the bottom to a low pressure system, maybe in something like an inversion or like even down dog, forward folds, whatever, it is in a very literal sense relieving pressure on other areas of the body where if we're sitting, laying down, even standing, most of the time, like that is in a very real sense is moving and shifting around. And so it's so important that in order to continue to stand and continue to be humans and alive, that we do that. And it's so basic, and it was so mind-blowing, and I don't know what it was really that just blew me away about that. It's so cool. So hydrostatic pressure, hydrodynamics, behavior of fluids, and yoga.